Honestly, given all the injuries, not that bad from the Washington Wizards tonight. But more importantly, Trey Johnson, I think he's finally arrived. He's becoming the player we expected him to be. All that and more, we break it down today on the Locked On Wizards podcast.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Alongside the DC sports content creating Savannah Abdullah-Yubi, I'm Ben Strover. I cover the Washington Wizards for Roundtable IO. 124-113, Wizards dropped this one to the San Antonio Spurs here at home. Big crowd at Capital One Arena. Big reason why, obviously, Victor Wembanyama, who played on a minutes restriction tonight, still saw some bright flashes. AB, it was let's start off to say it was crazy just seeing him up close personal. I was 5 feet away from him at one point, so that was kind of nuts.
Yeah, we saw him warming up, Ben, and we were just in awe. He is so freaking tall, if you guys didn't know. And yes, Capital One was packed today. Fortunately, not all of it was for Wizards fans. Kelly Olynyk got a standing ovation. I'm kidding. Was getting booed all night. We found that was hilarious. And you talked about how he talked to Will Dawkins before the game, and it's crazy to think about all the revenge story for Malachi Branham, former Wizard Kelly Olynyk, the JC brothers, Victor Wembanyama and DC. I'll take it, Ben. This weekend you went 1 for 1. We'll talk about the Grizzlies game, but tonight when you were undermanned, I mean, we saw that injury report, Ben. That list was long. The fact that he only lost by 11 points, I know a lot of people are still not fond of moral victories, even though they should understand the circumstances of this team currently. But you did what you could do, and Trey Johnson played well tonight. That's all I wanted to see, the silver lining.
Yeah, and really one quarter doomed Washington in this game. They were outscored 43-21 in the second quarter. Wembanyama kind of took over the game. He went back and forth with Tristan Vukcevic, who was the only center available for the Wizards tonight. Keep in mind, Alex Sarr was kind of in a load management thing. He was out today. Cam Whitmore is on the injury report now with shoulder soreness. Didn't really get an update on that from Brian Keefe today. Marvin Bagley was out with calf soreness. When you have that type of attrition in your lineup, especially at a big man position the way the Wizards did, it's going to make it really difficult to compete in a basketball game. It's a big reason why the Spurs out-rebounded Washington by quite a large margin in this one. But overall, Trey Johnson, he ties his season high of 19 tonight. A lot of good things. I'm going to break that down. We're going to break down yesterday's big-time win for the Wizards, a 20-point comeback against the Memphis Grizzlies. And then, as always, your favorite segment, Postgame, we'll give you a chance in the final segment to let it all out. I want to start with Trey Johnson because you see him go down with the hip flexor injury. He misses around 2.5 weeks of game time earlier in the season, and he wasn't playing at 100%. We got that word from Brian Keefe that Trey Johnson was not playing at full health, an injury that had plagued him since his time at Texas. Since he's come back, he's had his fair share of struggles, maybe getting adjusted, getting used to being on that NBA floor, getting into that cohesive flow with the offense. Tonight looked like the most comfortable game we've seen Trey Johnson play. And I think he's finally arrived. He was efficient in that third quarter. He was 3 for 3 from the field, knocked down both his shots from behind the arc. He's got a new level of confidence to his game now that they're finally forteing the offense in a way that is best suited for him. He's getting his opportunities to make plays with the basketball in his hands, but he's coming off set plays. He's coming off pin downs. And we're seeing the Wizards utilize him in a way that is best for him going forward. I'm liking to see the confidence, and man, it just made me smile to see him pull it from the logo in this one, from that DMV logo on the City Edition court. When Trey Johnson knocked it down from 35 feet, I was like, whoa, okay, we're starting to see why Trey Johnson was projected to be potentially a top 5 pick in last year's draft. This guy is an elite shooter. Tonight was the most comfortable I saw him play, AB.
7 rebounds, 2 assists alongside his 19 points, Ben. This is the kid that you took 6 overall. A guy that we think that can average 20 to 25 points, hopefully in the future. And I'm looking at it right now, the fact that some people were questioning whether he was even worth that 6 overall pick, it's crazy. Injuries, it happens. People are so quick to write off Cooper Flagg after his start to his NBA career. 42-point game against Utah. Now people are like, oh, yeah, this is the reason why he was drafted number 1 overall. But Trey Johnson, Ben, I think once this team gets a point guard that can get him the ball more, he'll be more effective. But until then, what he did tonight, very impressive. Against a San Antonio team that plays really good defense. They're known to be a really defensive-minded team historically. And offensively, tonight, you love to see it. You do wonder, Ben, because he only took 10 shots tonight. How many more games will we see from Trey like this where he takes the 10 shots? I want to see ideally 13 to 15. I want to see more of his usage because the nickname that I give him is a silver lining. That's the nickname I give him because regardless of the outcomes of these games, whether this team gets blown out by 50 or wins by 10, you're still going out there and seeing a young guy, Trey Johnson, who can be a cornerstone piece of this franchise. And maybe you can land a Darren Pierce in the draft, and that would be a future backcourt duo here in D.C. With all that being said, I love what I saw from him tonight. Tied his season high and career high tonight. And I think going forward, this is the Trey Johnson that we're hopefully going to see when healthy. And this is the Wizards squad, like I said, undermanned tonight. No Alex Starr, no Bilal Coulibaly, no Ken Whitmore, even though he doesn't play when he was healthy. The soreness. All those considering, in fact, putting all those things together, you have a guy in Trey Johnson, Bub. The young guys still went out there and competed, and that's honestly all we could ask for at this point. Because this Spurs team might make a run in the playoffs this year and could knock off the Thunder.
I thought it was going to get really ugly, to be honest, after that second quarter. The Wizards went into the halftime break down by 20 after getting outscored by 22. In that second quarter, you go, okay, this is where it's going to get away from you. You don't have any size. You have Anthony Gill playing minutes in this game, who often is a DNP coach's decision in a lot of these games. So the fact that he was seeing minutes in the first quarter of this game, you go, oh boy, you've got some real bad injury problems in this one if Anthony Gill's in the game. And no shade to Anthony Gill. I love what he brings to the team as a mentor, but to see him playing significant minutes means probably something has gone wrong in terms of injury. But want to continue the conversation here about Trey Johnson. So 10 shots, as you mentioned. You want to see him get to 15. Well, you have CJ McCollum, who took 15 shots tonight, and he took a lot of those shots in the fourth quarter as well. And as we've talked about so many times on this podcast throughout the entirety of the season, you probably don't see CJ McCollum here after the trade deadline. You probably don't see Chris Middleton here after the trade deadline as well. So if you are taking away 15 shots of your offensive production, that is more to go around for your young guys. That's more opportunities for Trey Johnson, who you'd expect to get that starting nod at the 2 position when CJ McCollum is not on the team anymore. More opportunities for Keyshawn George, who went 6 for 13 tonight, who was awesome yesterday. Today, a rougher night for George from behind the arc. He was 0 for 7. Another good night, actually, for Bub Carrington, who had 21 points tonight. He was 7-11 from the field, 4 of 6 from downtown. He made his first 4 shots from behind the arc, so good to see him stack another nice offensive performance. Trey Johnson today, though, a +4, which, let me see if that was the best. No, that was second best on the team. Jameer Watkins finished with a team best +6 in the plus-minus differential, which isn't gospel to say how a person played. But I think Trey Johnson did a lot of other things more than just shoot the ball well tonight. I think he competed on the defensive side of the basketball, which we knew was going to be a weakness of his game early on in his career. Doesn't necessarily have the size, doesn't have the frame yet to be great defensively, and there's a lot to learn when you go up against some really top-tier, upper echelon teams in the Western Conference like the San Antonio Spurs. You have a lot to learn defensively. I think Trey Johnson competes defensively, and it's going to be a work in progress. He's continuing to get better as he rolls along here in his career. 7 rebounds as well for Johnson, so love to see the way he's chipped in on the glass, because on a night where you don't have Sarr, you don't have Bagley, you don't really have any front court presence at all, you need other guys to chip in on the glass, and Johnson did that today.
Oh, I think they're about to have it's French tonight. Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, Dave Johnson right in front of us, Ben. But yeah, you couldn't have said it any better, Ben. This is a night where we're going to see hopefully more of Trey Johnson, how he performs like this throughout the rest of his rookie campaign. And 25 minutes, ideally, hopefully with no injuries, maybe even hit that 30-minute mark. But we'll just have to see it. And there's no reason for him not to play at all, especially since this team was undermanned tonight. And I think hopefully the sets, the movements with Trey, the three-point shot, like hitting it from the logo, those are things that you want to see, because we saw what he did in Texas, and hopefully you can hear me right, Ben, with all the crowd. Just wanted to make sure. And again, I think moving forward, the expectations on Trey, I understand a lot of people are high on him, and rightfully so, because he's so talented, and we saw what he did in Texas as a freshman, insane. But be patient. At the end of the day, this kid, 19 years old, on a franchise where they're still trying to figure out the core pieces, it's going to take some time. And with a 2026 draft pick loading, maybe landing a point guard in free agency or the deadline, his game is going to excel.
Let's take our first break here on the Locked On Wizards podcast. Big night for Trey Johnson. Last night was a big night for the Wizards, a big night for Keyshawn George. I want to tell you what I think of his aggressive play from yesterday when we come back. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood's Legends advanced tools. Or take advantage of the new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. We thank you all for tuning in live here at Postgame Show on the Locked On Wizards podcast. Be sure to check out the link in our show notes about the Everydayer Club. We want to hear from you guys. You get a chance to be involved in a Discord with us and get access to ad-free episodes of the Locked On Wizards podcast. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. I want to talk about yesterday because unfortunately we were unable to give you a post-game podcast after the Wizards come back down by 20. Of course, AB. Of course, the night that you and I both aren't available, the Wizards come back in the second half down by 20 points. A big night from Keyshawn George, who scored 28 points, 24 of those in the second half. The Wizards come back to win in a really inspiring, team-oriented effort. But AB, let's talk about Keyshawn George because his aggressive style of play that we saw yesterday needs to be the Keyshawn George that we see every night from here on out.
That was the Keyshawn that we saw against Dallas, man. A guy who's going downhill, is shooting the lights out of the ball, and is aggressive. And last night, 24 of his 28 were in the second half. And yeah, it's funny that you mentioned it. Like, we were both busy, and the one game this team goes out there and competes. The Grizzlies, that's a team that's trying to make it to 500, and the Locked On Grizzlies, so shout out to him. He talked about how it was probably one of the most embarrassing losses of the season. It's just funny because anytime someone drops one against the Wizards, it's like the sky is falling. But yeah, going back to Keyshawn, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 stocks. We're hoping to see this Keyshawn again throughout the rest of the season because we understand the role that he's been given. At times he needs to play point guard. At times he also needs to not be that aggressive defensively. So you're giving a lot of tasks to a young kid, a year 2 kid out of Miami, who, I'll say it one more time, was the last draft pick out of the 3 of him, Bub, and Sar in the 2024 draft. And moving forward, I think this is what we're going to see down the line when this kid eventually gets all-star recognition, when this team starts competing. And you can't say enough nice things about him because even when there's an off night span where he maybe gives you 10 to 12 points, he'll give you 10 to 11 rebounds or 7 to 8 assists or 2 to 3 steals. He impacts the game in so many different types of ways that you just look at him and you're like, he embodies the idea of versatility, of being able to do it all. And I always go back to the fact that this is a Will Dawkins draft pick, someone that can go out there and can compete night in and night out.
He's the exact kind of player that Will Dawkins wants to bring into this organization. And I see a lot of Will Riley in Keyshawn George as well. Obviously, he doesn't have the experience that Keyshawn George has, a little bit older at 21 years old than Will Riley. But both guys who just have a great understanding and high IQ basketball presence. Like, the one thing I love about George that he's continued to get better at this year is the ability he shows to create separation for himself with the basketball in his hands, get 2 feet in the paint. That's the best thing that can happen for a player is if you get into the paint. If you can break down the defense in a way where you force them to either make contact. We see George use that shoulder to create separation. We see him improving as a playmaker, making those reads. And I said it last summer, just watching the tape for Keyshawn George, I go, this guy's underrated as a playmaker. He seems very instinctive, and he just knows where guys are going to be at those moments to make that dump pass, to make the push pass, to have you read out of the high post and find the next skip pass in the next corner. Keyshawn George can make those types of plays, and even though he plays so well off the basketball, the catch and shoot numbers really great for Keyshawn George this year. He needs the basketball in his hands a lot because he has the ability to beat you and score at all 3 levels in a way that a lot of players on this team don't have yet And I think a lot of guys could develop in that type of player, but the strides he's taken as a player here in his second year is so impressive to me. And I'm really ecstatic about the future of this organization with a guy like Keyshawn George. And I think the biggest thing you could say, I know Will Dawkins has generated a lot of haters for some reason from this fan base because the team isn't good this year. And that was the plan. That was the goal, was the team to position itself to have a chance to be like the Spurs and pick in the top of the draft a couple of times. Like, the Spurs have built this team based on lottery luck. And I'm not saying they're not coached extremely well by Mitch Johnson, because they are. They're so talented. But it helps when you get the best prospect in basketball since LeBron and Wemby. It also helps when you get Dylan Harper to run the offense, who wasn't great tonight, actually. The Wizards did a pretty good job holding him in check. But Dawkins hit big time in that 2024 draft with Sarr and George. Those are two top 5 players.
And remember, Ben, sorry to cut you off, but it was also considered a weak draft class as well.
Yeah. And you got 2 players that you could say right now are the top 5, or in the top 5 of the players from that draft class. The book is not closed on Bub Carrington as well. He is stacking some good performances as well. He's continuing to develop as you go along here. Those are buildable pieces. If you get that franchise cornerstone player in this draft, if you get an A.J. Debonsa, a Cam Boozer, or a Darren Peterson in this draft, you're going to be able to take that next step as an organization. Maybe you see them trade, or you see them explore trade options to also supplement as well, supplement in free agency. I think there's some real optimism around the organization right now that they'll be able to take that next step next year. And as guys continue to develop, hitting in this draft as well is going to become a vital part. Keyshawn George, love it. He got to stay aggressive, AB.
And I think, going back to what you said about this is what we're trying to build here, understanding the main theme of the season. You lose a lot of games, but you want to see development. That's what we're starting to see with how Keyshawn George is playing, how Bub played tonight. Bub Carrington, a guy who a lot of people were saying that should be assigned to the G League the way he was performing the first couple of weeks of the season, and rightfully so. At one point, the worst plus-minus number in NBA history. But the kid is young. And one thing I love about Bub, Ben, he's available. And there's not many guys you can say that on this Wizards squad right now that's undermanned, because like you mentioned earlier, or at least I did, 7 to 8 guys were out tonight with injuries and whatnot. And we were looking at it. A lot of the guys were in street clothes, and 2 or 3 guys on the bench were actually wearing jerseys. So this is a game where you have to see the young guys go out there and produce. And I understand, look, Luke Cornett, double-double. I don't like to see it either. Kelly Olynyk scoring. I love the boost, though, because it was funny. And Wemby, I mean, you had to hear. I got to say, Ben, Wemby, like, I was telling you, or at least I wanted to tell you, after LeBron retires, he's going to be, like, the Glaze of the NBA, that one player. Maybe you put him the SGA. Because, bro, the guy was sitting on the bench, and the ball was thrown out of bounds, too, and caught it. And people were cheering, and I'm like, holy crap.
Dude, it got so loud when he jogged up to the scorer's table. It got really loud in this building. Like, a lot of people were here just to see that guy play. And it's a shame that he was on a minutes restriction, and maybe that was helpful for the Wizards to see him playing down the stretch in the fourth quarter, so it allowed, things from getting away. It's just funny to see a guy like Wemby go out there and generate the fan response that he has, and for good reason. He's incredible. He's going to be an all-time great basketball player in this league, barring his health, obviously. It's hard to stay healthy at that size. But the reason he comes out so late for warm-ups, AB, is because he has, like, a very thorough pregame routine of all kinds of care he needs to get. And I think that's in order for him to stay healthy for the better part. I mean, he already had the calf injury this year, so I know the Spurs are being extra careful with a guy like that. But it's funny. Tonight was definitely a positive, though, in terms of just seeing the young guys go out there and try to compete with a really good San Antonio Spurs team competing in the Western Conference. I like their chances this year. I really do like San Antonio a lot. I think they're well coached. I think they have the pieces they need to potentially make a run. I'm not saying they're going to dethrone OKC. I know they beat them in the NBA Cup game, but I don't know if anybody can dethrone OKC at this point. But I'd like the Spurs' chances to make a run in the postseason this year. I'm glad to see competitive nature from our players. Will Riley went up there and tried to throw it down on Wemby. And I know he got a little bit shaken up for a moment. He came up wincing, but I love to see a 19-year-old kid who doesn't have the biggest frame on his body go up fearlessly and try to put it down on the future face of the NBA. That takes guts. It took guts for Will Riley to do that.
locked on. I love the effort. And he started off hot, 10 points, finished with 18. This is a TV offensively that I love. Defensively, it's hard. I mean, no one in the league, or no one in the world, rather, could guard Wemby. He's 8'9", for Christ's sake. So you take what you can get. You went one-on-one on the weekend. I'll take it. It was a good weekend in my eyes. You were competitive with a Western Conference threat, and you beat a Grizzlies team that's trying to beat 500.
You got me now? You got me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I know I was cutting a little bit out, but with that time, let's take our quick break. Let's see if I can get through the ad read so we can get to let it all out. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, the defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into that moment. The live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up, and you can bet on next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. And it keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, everybody, it's time for your favorite post-game segment here on the Locked On Wizards podcast. It's time to let it all out. AB, kick us off if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Apologies, guys, for the lag and the background noise. A lot of things are happening right now in Capital One Arena post-game. Noah Mustard, 543 to a shout out to Noah, a good friend of the channel. Nice semi-competitive game. He also says better than expected. I agree. I think tonight you expected the way that second quarter was going that this was going to be another 40-point loss, but that's not the case. The young kids stepped up. They were competitive. You love what you saw from Bob Carrington and Trey Johnson as well. El Chorizo, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, 202 says, won't feel too bad on the Metro ride home. Yeah, stay safe. The Metro it's definitely an experience. J Cast Properties LLC 4886 CEO of the Bilal Koulibaly fan club says, awesome! Exclamation point. Mr. Bomb V2 says, good effort overall. Trade doing good. Bub getting better. Yeah, 100% agree. Remember, Bub haters, where y'all at? You guys were calling this man out saying that he was arguably the worst player in NBA history. He's been playing better, and I don't hear any more banter from Rman2763 says, what's up, fellas? What's up, man? Mr. Bond V2 also says Vooch was good early on. This is the Vooch that I love. Offensively, pretty gifted. Can give you maybe 20 points every now and then. You just need to see him get the touches. I know you did say, though, Ben, he is one of the worst shooters from outside when it comes to big men this season, right?
Yeah, he's shooting like 20%. He was letting it fly. I thought we were in for a big night for Tristan Vukcevic. He scored 10 of the first 13 points. He was the only Wizard to score double figures in that first half with 16. And then he finished the game with 18. Foul trouble, a big reason why. And having to match up against Wemby makes it very difficult to stay out of foul trouble. But not the best night for Tristan Vukcevic in terms of his game from the outside. He had a hot start, but he cooled off.
Yeah, it was funny because I was saying, like, he knows that Marvin and Alex are not going to be able to play, so who's gonna replace him if he had to sub out? He said, let it all fly. El Chorizo also says, as a lifelong Wizards fan, considering how the season is going, losing by 11 to Spurs doesn't feel bad. Completely agree. Skins Nation 202, he needs to play more. I'm assuming he's talking about Vooch. I mean, he's going to have to because two of the bigs are out. We'll see the next game against, who are they playing next, Ben?
We are back in action on Tuesday. Hold on, let me double check who we're playing.
No, you're good.
I think we're on the road. We
okay.
are on the road. Let me see.
All right. Mr. Bombi 2.
It's Charlotte. That's right, Charlotte.
Okay, gotcha, yeah. So hopefully we'll have one of them back, but we'll just have to see. Mr. Bombi 2 also says, Wiz getting more competitive. At least we didn't get blown out tonight, although Wemby was not needed that much tonight. Yeah. Chuck Best 3780, thanks Chuck for liking, commenting, and subscribing to Locked On Wizards. What's good, Wiz fam? Not mad at the effort at all. Got to the game late, seeing we were super undermanned and they didn't roll over. That's all you could ask for. WJM398 says, it feels like we're about to turn the corner. Yeah, you can say that. Chuck also says, why is Bags, Sar, Bilal, and Cam all out? Ben, you want to answer that one?
Thank you all for coming.
I can't with the internet right now.
No, you're good. You're good.
Selling.
I don't know if you see Chuck's comment, but he was saying a lot of guys were out, and he mentioned Marvin, Alexar, Bilal, and Cam, and he asked why.
Bags is calf soreness. Alexar is more of a load management thing with him coming back from the adductor injury. And Cam Whitmore propped up his shoulder soreness. And for a guy that hasn't played in 2 weeks, I don't know. Maybe something happened in practice would be my assumption. Bijan Todd of Monumental Sports asked Brian Keefe today, and they said, "Can you shed some light on that situation?" He said, "Yeah, he has some soreness in his shoulder." So that was all we got.
A lot of soreness. Stroyer 2102. What kind of mentorship are CJ and Chris providing if they continue to call their own number? It's a good question. CJ McCollum, a guy that can give you 25 to 30 points a game if he's hot. And if he's missing, it looks bad, especially since you want to develop a lot of these young guys and how they play offensively. Chris Middleton wasn't playing tonight, CJ was. And we'll see how long CJ's time. I mean, we're assuming his days are limited here in D.C. with the trade deadline coming up. We'll just have to see which team is willing to offer him a good trade package. Chuck also says, I see most of the second half, and Bub looked like he wanted to play better than Castle, and Trey looked like he wanted to be better than Harper. Mr. Bond V2 also says, I can see the team gelling a little bit more now. I've seen more swing three-point attempts, which shows team growth and chemistry. Let me try to get someone else here. Big J52 says, geez, AB, what does Bub have to do? Still wanting to use that first-round pick on a point guard? SGA only had 10 points per game and 3 assists, and he got traded to OKC. Chill. Now, I'll start off by saying this. I love Bub. But I think we've seen from the sample size of this season that he's more suited to be that combo guard role, not really a pure point guard, which it's not a big deal. The point guard position, very hard to develop. If you ask a lot of NBA players and people in general that watch and know ball, they'll say that playing the point guard position is difficult. So maybe getting a guy like Darren Peterson or Michael Brown, like any of these young guys coming up, or sign someone that could help out with the development of not only Trey, but even Bub, Alex Sarr, all these other young guys. Jimmy Go Outside says, nah, keep Bilal, get him on a cheap deal, and keep developing him. Yeah, the Bilal experiment, Ben, I put out a community post, and I literally just commented, or I put the post out saying, what are your current thoughts on Bilal Coulibaly? Just a picture of him. 40 comments. A lot of people were just, it was like two different sides. And to me, I always say he's the most polarizing player on the Wizards right now. And I mean, what do you think?
I'd say right now he is very polarizing because he's missed over half the games, which is really tough to see. Like, you just got him back, and then you see the ankle thing prop up, and it makes it hard. And his offensive development has regressed this year as well. But a big reason why is because he hasn't had an opportunity to get in rhythm whatsoever. He's got to be able to stay on the court for an extended period of time so we can truly see how he's progressing or not progressing offensively. We know what he is defensively, but offensively, I think we need to see some more from him.
Yeah, I don't want to say trade him too loud because he's right there. Jimmy also says, if Wiz fall in the draft, so many good point guards. It's a good point. One of our good friends, Jesse of the channel, shout out to him. He talked about how if we fall, there is a good amount of talent that you can get. God forbid if you fall to 6 again or 7, but we'll just we'll just have to see. Corey Dancer 1290 says, who would y'all want, Peterson, DeBonza, or Boozer? For me, Ben, I think DeBonza is going to be the best player out of all of them, so he's my one. And then because of fit, but Boozer, I mean, the way he plays forward and pairing him up with Sarr would be nice. What do you think, Ben?
I'm Team AJ at number 1 right now. I think he has proven that he's the best player in college basketball right now, best suited to go number 1. Peterson obviously isn't playing right now, which makes it a lot more difficult. But I think I'd go AJ for now. That's really all I got on that.
Chuck also says Cap 1's Wi-Fi was always a little bit, yeah. Again, we apologize for the in and out. The Wi-Fi here just not on our side tonight. Crocs Wild No Socks says, just checking in, go Wiz. Love to hear the trash talk all throughout the game. Dogs were barking in Cap 1 for 2 hours straight. Yeah, I think the fact that you didn't just lay down and let this Spurs team blow you out, it shows what the Wizards are trying to build here. And we understand the idea that we're not going to win a lot of games this season. However, you're not going to just come into Capital One and expect a 40-point game, at least a 40-point blowout, at least hopefully moving forward. We saw the Celtics game not too long ago and the Cavs game early on in the year where you get destroyed. But now we're hoping, especially post-trade deadline, that this team can stay competitive. And 10 to 12-point losses, I'll take it. I'd rather take that than a 40-point loss, of course.
Absolutely. Tonight, a nice step forward for Washington, I think, in terms of competing without a lot of your guys out there. Wizards are back in action on Tuesday. We've had plenty of internet issues, so we appreciate everyone who has stuck with us throughout the post-game show here on the Locked On Wizards podcast. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. For your second, check out the Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball podcast to get your lineup right. For my co-host, Abdullah Ayyubi, I'm Ben Strober, DC family. Talk to you later.